And I did have a chance to see him a few minutes ago. Brandon and I, along with Nate Bresky and Tabani Richards, were down there, and he's doing well, and a little bit tired, but it was good to see him in person for the first time in a while.
I was going to say, we heard the doctors describe a little bit that he's up moving around, that he was shouting during the game and setting off alarms at the opening kickoff. Can you describe what you saw from him today?
Yeah, I'll just keep it pretty general, Adam, just out of respect for Damar. He's just tired, but seems happy and happy to be back in Buffalo and around some familiar, familiar area to him, and so we're just taking it, and I know he's taking it just one step at a time here.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, John Worrell. In what's been, a roller coaster of an emotional week, how, I guess, uplifting is it, for this news to happen? Zach Taylor was just amazed, by hearing this news. I mean, just how could you have fathomed how remarkable this recovery has been?
No, I mean, it's, again, what a blessing. Just incredible progress that he's made, and incredible care that he's been under, like I said, both in Cincinnati and now here. So we're just very, very thankful for that. The team of the medical team that he's had around him, and again, singling out Tabani. Tabani's been with him the whole time, and so just thankful that Damar is back and resting in Buffalo here.
And just lastly, just knowing that he's back and knowing that he's at least in town and he's gotten this far, and after what's been really an emotionally draining week, does this maybe provide the team and yourself a chance to find a certain level, especially knowing that you need to focus on the playoffs?
Does it offer a certain level? I'm not sure.
Reach a level of, I guess, a good level of a base where of an emotional base, that the worries that you've had over those recent days can be displaced by relief and joy.
Yeah, I mean, again, just we'll follow the doctor's cadence on all of that. But it's clear that he continues to move and take steps in a positive direction here. And it just, even though I'm not physically with him right now, we're not physically with him. When you have, it's like anything else, when you have your family close by, it just feels right. It just feels better. And it's just good knowing that he's nearby.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, we heard Trey after the game. I mean, he was pretty open and honest and just really emotional about everything that has happened. And, he said, I can't unsee what I saw on the field. I guess just we've talked about the importance of mental health and bringing in extra counselors and things like that. I guess, does that continue? And I guess, how do you make sure that, guys are emotionally and mentally in an okay state, even knowing that Damar is okay, but just continuing forward here?
Yeah, and getting through that game does not end the support that we'll have available to our players. It's ongoing. So that'll be a point of emphasis this week as well. And because, again, as we've said from the start, people deal with things in different ways. So we'll support them and continue to do so.
And does the team or players have any plans to be able to see him in person? I know you said that you and Brandon were just able to, but how about players or anything like that?
Yeah, we will have a plan in place. We'll work through that at the proper time. So Brandon's done a great job, being on the phone with people from the University of Cincinnati Medical Center and now here, along with Nate and the doctors on both ends to make sure that this was done the right way, and that all those things, one of which is what you're talking about, friends being able to go see them are done the right way. So that's handled the right way. Or maybe you got your dog, your good looking dog behind you there, right? Just kind of came into the picture. So.
Yeah, I know. I could see him kind
First
of.
I thought it was a bear. I'm just like, that's you got something sneaking up on you there, Heather. That's a pretty large dog you've got there. There.
Can you say?
Yeah, what's your dog's name?
That is Otto.
Otto.
That
Pretty
is
dog.
That is Otto. Yes, yes. You know what? The description of bear is actually pretty accurate. You should see him in the snow. He looks like a polar bear, so that's very accurate. Oh, thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Coach. Pat Freeman from the Buffalo Criterion newspaper. I want to congratulate you and the team on an outstanding job yesterday under such circumstances. And also, it's good to hear that Damar is back here in Western New York.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Now at the task at hand, I know there's another subject that I know you over the years. Your first player that you chose when you got here was Tre'Davious White. And yesterday, he seemed to be moving back into form. How important was that for him, but also for you, him being your first draft choice when you arrived?
Yeah, he did. He had what I would say was his best game this year, and he's worked hard, and he continues to work hard. It's he's an extremely conscientious young man, and that's why we picked him. One of the many reasons why we picked him when we did and where we did. And the confidence that we have in Trey has never waned at all. I mean, there's a process that you go through when you come back off of an injury like that, and he looks to be really rounding into form as we get through towards the back half of the season.
My last question to you: you oftentimes talk about the difficulty of playing a team twice. Now you're playing the Miami Dolphins 3 times. What types of challenges does that offer you this week in a playoff scenario?
Yeah, they're a good football team. They've beaten us once this season, and they're very talented, and the speed that they have on their roster is impressive, and good team speed. So we've got to put our minds together this week and come up with a good game plan, and then have a good week of practice in terms of our preparation to be ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Coach, and good luck to you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Sean, as you guys begin to prepare for the Dolphins game this weekend, how will you continue to let Damar and just the togetherness of this team inspire you as you move forward in the playoffs?
Yeah, man, I think, more than anything, like I said earlier, like having him nearby will give us more comfort. I know his parents are going to be with him there, and I think that helps as well, and knowing that he's well taken care of. He's got a great medical team around him here in Buffalo, and he just had a chance to meet with some of their staff, and very comfortable with the team that's around him. And I just think overall it just continues to put our minds at ease that he's in good hands, and that he's moving in the right direction.
And then you got to experience the atmosphere yesterday, of course. What are you hoping the atmosphere is like this Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I know our fans, and they love playoff football, and we can't wait to be out in front of them this weekend. And they did such a fantastic job this past weekend in supporting the team, and the crowd noise. I mean, it's tough to play here, and I think anyone that plays here would tell you that. And no one likes coming to Buffalo, especially this time of year. So I can't wait to see our fans take full advantage of that this weekend.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, I was wondering if you could just tell us a bit more about when you found out that Damar was going to be able to leave UCMC. Did you realize it was trending that way today? What was that moment like of just finding out he had reached that milestone?
Yeah, Brandon, like I said, has been the main point person on that, at least from my end. And He spent a lot of time yesterday afternoon, evening, and then again this morning, getting that organized and arranged, and along with Nate Bresky and Tabani. So, just very, very appreciative of his efforts, of Brandon's efforts, and everyone that's worked on this to get it done the right way and respect Damar's privacy and most importantly, care for him.
We've heard so much this week about everything that Tabani has done. From that standpoint, I was wondering, when we see him as more in like a work perspective, what can you tell us about Tabani's personality, just to, as we're all learning more?
Yeah, Tabani's great. He's one of those workers that no job is too small, and at the same time, no job is too big. He's a hard worker. He's a great team player, and which has obviously been exemplified in what he's done the last. I don't think he's even been home yet since we left for Cincinnati, and that includes today, I think. So, just a true servant and cares so much for the people around him and these players. It's my hat goes off to him.
And then one more, this overlaps a bit with what Heather was asking about, just kind of that ongoing supporting players, knowing that it's going to be still waves from here. Mitch Morse mentioned last night how there's kind of, when there is such an emotional high like yesterday's game, then you have to guard against a letdown. What have you seen, from players today being able to help them through that first wave of, because there's so much good news, we're so glad to be talking about that, but also like knowing there's quiet moments in between that, navigating those ups and downs?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have to have our focus where it needs to be, and that's on a game plan in the Miami Dolphins. Damar is in good hands, and he's, as we know, moving in the right direction, and he's now local to us here, which helps. So I think you saw a little bit of that evolution during the game yesterday as well. I mean, the first play obviously gets so much publicity, but then you have to play after that. There's 14 minutes of football plus in the first quarter there to go. So it's I think our players did a good job of experiencing that yesterday and pushing through it and managing the highs and lows of the game, and then coming out on the other end and now getting some rest and a chance to just kind of push back and reset a little bit this week.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, speaking of that first play, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but we were just told by doctors that when Nyheim ran that first one back, Damar jumped up and down, set off every alarm in the ICU, was going crazy. What's your reaction to that, and hearing, how excited he got?
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I think I'd heard some of that, but not maybe all of it. So I appreciate you sharing that, Elena. And that's great. It's great to hear, and super excited for him, and that he got a chance to watch it for sure. And he's such a great person, and he's got such a positive spirit. Doesn't surprise me.
And then I was curious, you talked about how during the game, guys kind of had to settle down and get him in the rhythm of it and all that. When you watched it back or sat back when you got home last night, were there any takeaways that you were, once you got a little time to think about the game, that you were like, wow, I'm proud of this, guys, because we were able to get through it in this way, or maybe anything that stood out for you when you were able to take a step back?
Yeah, I just think overall, Elena, that, we talked about it a little bit after the game in the locker room, you learn through things when you go through experiences like this. And I think more than anything, we will all have grown as people and as men in this case, the guys that were out there on the field, and by going through an experience like this. And but just overall, our organization, when you share a situation like this and you can come together, you become better because of it. So I think more than anything, it was, I don't know, just a little bit of a sense of accomplishment that we worked through this together, and now a chance to reset a little bit.
Thank you.
Sure.
Coach Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports Cincinnati. How you doing today?
Good, Mookie. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Man, what's victory Monday for the 7th straight time? But it is a new season. So How would you assess yesterday's victory, Coach?
Well, again, good to get a win. I thought we did some really good things in all three phases. Things that stand out obviously are the 2 kickoff returns on special teams, and offensively, we connected on some situations down the field. Got the run game going, and I just feel like defensively, we were able to get some takeaways and play some good red zone defense at the same time. So there's some good there. There's always things to work on though, and those stood out. And that's where our focus has to be this week, in making those necessary adjustments so we can move forward.
No doubt, Coach. You mentioned, the interceptions by your 2 linebackers there, the returns on special teams, and, the big plays in the passing game, as well as contributions from your run game. What is needed to have that consistency throughout the game?
Well, I mean, it's, that's what we work on every week, the consistency. So it's, I think just overall, continuing to try and improve our quality of play. And that's where our focus needs to be. And that really starts for us by getting the rest, over the next day here, and then us putting together a good game plan, and then the guys coming in with the right mental approach, that we're really on a 1-game season at a time type of approach here. So, this is the time of year you've got to be at your best.
One more, if I may, Coach. You've been playing from prime time from Thursday to Tuesday, Thursday back again, Sunday, Saturday, and Monday. How refreshing is it finally to get a 1 o'clock game on a Sunday? How helpful is it?
Yeah, we'll play at any time. I know in the playoffs you're playing at any time. So yeah, it's 2 back-to-back Sunday 1 o'clock games, 2 back-to-back home games is a welcome sight. I can promise you that. But all that being said, we've got to tune our game up a little bit this week and get ourselves ready to go against a good Miami Dolphins football team here.
Absolutely, Coach. Have a great week of practice.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Coach, if I'm not mistaken, the doctors revealed that a few of Damar's teammates met him and either rode with him to the airport or something to that effect. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, I can't speak to that. It's, to my knowledge, it was his teammates, not player teammates, but Tabani was one of them. I can confirm that as a teammate, at least.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now moving forward, as you approach the postseason, you may have already answered this partially, but what are some strategies you can fall back on to potentially not totally move forward, but move forward the best you can from the situation? Is there anything in your past experience that you could, obviously not literally fall back on, as this is an unprecedented situation, but maybe fall back on a little bit?
Well, I mean, I think you come back to the leaders, right, of our football team, our captains, and their experience, playing in the playoffs, their experience now as leaders going through a situation like we just went through, and we continue to progress through that as well. The support that we'll have on the floor here, and that we've had and will continue to have for the players is a good thing to have around. But at the same time, we have to get ourselves ready to go to play playoff football this weekend.
Thanks for your time.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, Jesse Kirsch from NBC News. Appreciate your time today. First question for you. I know obviously you just were able to see Damar yourself. You and members of your staff and your players have been able to talk to him by text and on FaceTime over recent days. But now that he's, as you put it, physically closer and potentially going to be able to have visitors in the days ahead, can you just speak to how you could see him and how he hopes to be a part of the playoff push for your team now that he's physically nearby, how that could, change the way he can influence the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, having him nearby, you can feel, his energy, and it just feels like he's back where he's back home. And I think that's great news. And we're encouraged by his progress. And, he still has obviously some things to go through with the medical team and the care that he's under. And we have to handle our business here as well. He would want us to do that, as he has expressed before. So, each of us has a job to do, and we talk about accountability a lot around here. We're accountable to one another to get that done.
It's incredible to see the pace of his progress, and obviously it sounds like he is downgraded. I saw the new hospital that he's at says stable condition. Injuries happen in this sport quite often, certainly not on this level every day. But can you take us inside the mind of you and your staff right now? Does this feel like how you treat, keeping an eye on any other player who's injured now, or does this still feel like a very different injury?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. We understand the significance of the injury and the situation, and like we care for all of our players, we're always thinking of them and praying for them, and wanting them to get back to 100% as quickly as possible. So it's ongoing care; it doesn't end, and it's ongoing thought and prayer as well. So that said, the team has to continue to move in a direction towards playing the wild card round this weekend in the playoffs. And like I said, that's what we're called to do, and that's what we have to execute this week.
And then just finally for you, Coach, obviously yesterday was an incredibly emotional day and a football game as well. So you had to be focused on that on top of everything else. Now that you've had a little bit more time away from it, can you just comment, have you seen any particular moment from the other games? Maybe you've been able to watch anything that went on in cities all over the country to pay tribute to Damar and your team. If any moment surprised you or stuck out or especially hit home for you?
Well, I thought the night before the game, the Saturday night game with Tennessee and Jacksonville, stood out. A number of us got a chance to watch the beginning of it pregame, where Jacksonville and Tennessee came together in prayer for Damar, and then just the continued support throughout the day yesterday. And when I got a chance to get home last night and watch the night game, or at least some of it, and watch the pregame warmups again with the T-shirts being worn, and this people in the stands and Green Bay and their support, it's really incredible to watch how encompassing it's been around the NFL and around the world, really. A friend of mine sent me a text. There was a castle in Ireland that was lit up blue, to support Damar and the Buffalo Bills. So I just think it's been incredible to watch people come together and come together for a common goal here.
Hey, Sean. I don't know about you. I'm sure you take the process a little bit differently, but I've already found myself, searching on social media about the quarterback situation that's going on with the Dolphins and trying to find some clarity there. But as a coaching staff, how do you guys kind of navigate all of the unknowns that seem to be with your opponent right now?
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good feel, for where that's going to go. We'll just see how it unfolds, but I think we got a pretty good feel, and we've got to prepare all the week anyway. So we control what we can control, and obviously they're going to control what they can control down there. So that's what we've done all season, and that's what we have to do this week.
When you get ready for a playoff game, does anything change? I know I've heard people say like, oh, in the playoffs, you got to do this different, or you got to do this different. Is there any fundamental change that you think is different about playoff football compared to regular season football?
I think it depends on who you ask, and what message they want to send to their team, I guess. I think there are some differences that happen every year that you have to adjust to. I think the biggest thing is just making sure that our young players who've never played in a playoff game before are ready to go and understand that it's going to move faster and be a little bit more physical. And then things get magnified in terms of taking care of the football being one. And so preparation helps, and preparation is the key as we move forward here.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
That's all for today. Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Ken. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll get started with questions, and Pat Freeman will have our first question.
How you doing, Coach Dorsey?
All right. How are you, Pat?
All right, I had a question. Can you just talk a little bit about the emergence of James Cook and how much he has improved during the course of the season? Because, towards the beginning, it seemed like he was up a little too high, hitting the holes, not letting the plays develop. But it seems now he is really starting to have a very good feel of how the pro game is played, especially from the running back position.
Yeah, I think he's just gotten more and more comfortable as the season's gone, and he's gotten that experience and those reps, and then obviously with the trade earlier in the year, that gives him more opportunities. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and a combination of him working hard and putting himself in position to be out there more because we trust him, and that's from a pass protection standpoint to a run game standpoint to a being out and route standpoint. So I think he's done a really good job with that to earn not only our trust, but the guys, all the guys on offense. And you just see, I think you're exactly right. I think he's just become more and more comfortable as the year's gone on.
All right. Thanks for the question, and luck to you on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins.
Thank you.
Mute. There we go. Good afternoon, Coach Dorsey. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Doing all right. And my question for you today on the running backs, I noticed from the stats, James Cook was averaging over 5 yards a carry in the game, and Devin Singletary was also actually averaging over 4.1 yards a carry. Is there any time during games when you see numbers getting that kind of high that you may change the game plan a little bit and run the ball a little more, where you can see these? Because it looked like James Cook was really feeling it, man. He's really now starting to bust into those holes, accelerate at the point of at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think throughout the game, we're obviously, we're always trying to stay balanced. We're trying to stay in, positive yard situation on first down and keep us in, first, second down production is obviously huge for us. So however we're going to get that done, we're going to try to get that done. Obviously, I think for us, things got a little skewed as we lost a couple of possessions there on some big plays on special teams. So I think that does skew things a little bit. But, obviously our goal is to always, attack a defense by being multiple in both the run and pass game.
Yeah, and so obviously it dictates the game where you have the lead, for example, with a Dolphin team that's very susceptible to the run. Is that into consideration as part of your game planning?
Talking about this week?
This week, yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we always kind of go about looking at things and really try to attack a defense in multiple ways, run and pass game wise. So, obviously, we're always going to try to look at those things and make sure we're doing the best things for our offense. These guys are, I think, not too bad against the run. I think they're actually, they do a pretty good job. So, you've really got to be on top of things because they really present problems with the multiplicity that they have up front, and then obviously the guys they've got up front. I mean, their front, their line and linebackers are all extremely physical and do a great job creating issues with either penetration or two gapping you. And so it'll be a good challenge for us in the run game this week.
Great. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck this coming Sunday.
Thank you.
Hey, Ken, how would you rate where Josh is physically, heading in the playoffs with his elbow? Look, he was battling it, the last month or so, but yesterday was able to throw deep, with accuracy. So just how would you describe where he is health-wise right now? Yeah,
I think he just keeps getting better and better with it. And I think it's one of those things where he's done a great job with the maintenance and just continuing to do the things that he needs to do for it to feel better and better. So I really don't think there's limitations for him right now. I think he's put himself in a spot to where he can go out and make all the throws he wants to and put it where he needs to. And then you've had a lot of unsung contributions from guys like yesterday. John Brown stepped up from the practice squad and caught a touchdown. What is it about this offense that allows guys to
to maybe not have a big role, but still be able to make plays when they're called upon?
Yeah, I think it's important for us. It's important that we're utilizing, who's ever up on game day for us and whoever's on our roster. It's, that's one of those things where you've only got so many, and you don't want your guys to wear down as the season goes on or as the game goes on. So you've got to be able to utilize all the guys that you have, active on game day and on your roster as much as possible. So I think that's a testament to Brandon and Sean and the guys that they've brought in here that, they keep bringing in guys who can contribute for us. And, they're always hard decisions to make throughout the week, trying to figure out who's up and who's down and those types of questions. So because of the depth that we have. So, I think it's really important for us to continue that and make sure we're, again, attacking people in multiple different ways with our personnel as well.
Hey, Ken, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yesterday for Gabe, 10 targets, 3 catches. It seems like it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a season for him with some really big statistical games and then maybe not what you were hoping for. I know he also, dealt with an injury in there as well. But what do you have to do here going into the postseason to ensure that you're getting as much consistency as possible from him from that number 2 receiver spot?
Yeah, I think, Gabe just, he's one of those guys, we got a ton of faith and we ask him to do a lot. He's our guy that definitely moves around a lot and wears a lot of different hats for us and does a lot of different things. So he's an integral part of our offense. And I think, we'll continue to make sure we're focused on him being in the right spots in order, 1, for him to have success, but 2, to help us to make sure we're doing the right things offensively as a whole. So, it's a constant thing for us to make sure we're putting our guys in position for them to have success. And I think Gabe works extremely hard at it. And I think that's something that we always try to strive for is just more and more consistency. And I think he's really doing a good job of working through things when, stuff isn't always perfect. He works his tail off to make sure, he corrects any mistakes that might've come up.
And how about for yourself? I mean, this has been a season of firsts for you in some ways in terms of being a first-time play caller. Now, when you turn the page here into the postseason and the stage gets a little bit bigger, the spotlight gets a little bit brighter. Does that impact you at all, or do you just try to stick with what you've been doing all season? How do you approach, your introduction here to the postseason, I guess?
Yeah, I really think, the biggest thing is we try to stick with our routine, stick with our preparation and not really treat things much differently in that regard. I think it's important to have consistency. I think it's important to have, guys to be able to come in and have faith that all of a sudden you're not going to start running the wing tee or something like that going into the postseason, so none against wing tee, but
Hey, the Dolphins might not be expecting it, right?
No, yeah, you never know. No, but I think obviously you want to keep things fresh and make sure guys are excited about the plan and you have your wrinkles and things like that. But I really think just consistency of approach and consistency of your overall attitude as a coach and as a player is important going into this stretch of the postseason.
Right on. Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 80. How you doing today, Coach?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. On your second, well, actually on your first offensive touchdown, how impressed were you to see that Josh Allen show patience inside that red zone on his touchdown to Dawson Knox there?
Yeah, I think he really did a good job of just understanding where we were out on the field and how to feel for the protection and everything and really let those guys work. And I thought it was a great job by Dawson working for him and finding a hole in there and really being friendly. So I think that's just overall just execution and offense at a high level and the protection from the protection to the routes to the decision to the throw. And I think that's offensive football for you. It's 11 guys operating on the same page at the same time, and if one guy breaks down right there, it could potentially throw a wrench in the whole thing. So, that's the fun part about offensive ball. And that was the exciting part for me to see that throughout the game yesterday.
No doubt, Coach. And in certain situations, there tend to be some struggles, while both of your your running backs are averaging over 5 yards a carry. What comes from those struggles in short yard situations when that's happening? What are your thoughts?
In short yardage in general, or?
Yes, in short yard situations while both your running backs are averaging over 5 yards.
I think it's just one of those things where, they've got some good players over there too. And, I really think we've improved as the year's gone on in those situations, and continue getting better and better. And we just got to make sure that, in those deals, you're getting movement, you're limiting penetration. And then a lot of times it has to do with communication and making sure everybody's on the same page and go into the right spots and the IDs on point, and everybody's working in the same direction. So again, I think there's a lot of things that go into it when you're in those situations. And I think we'll continue to grow in terms of some of the different things we could potentially do there, whether it's run or pass or to keep a defense off balance. But you always like to be physical in those situations and making sure you're setting the tone for your offense as much as possible.
One more, if I may, Coach. It is win or go home time. How do you prepare so you make sure you have every call necessary for every situation going forward?
I think it's just trusting the fact that your guys are prepared in the game plan and have the ability to adjust wherever you need to adjust. So it's always a balancing act of, okay, do you have too much in? Do you have not enough in? It's that right mix of making sure that you have the right amount to where you can prepare and guys feel comfortable with it and they're not overwhelmed with it, but you have enough to attack a defense. And be able to pivot and adjust based off of what you're getting. So it's always the balancing act that you fight as a coach and putting a plan together. And our guys have done a great job all year handling whatever we've thrown at them.
No doubt, Coach. Have a great week of practice. Good luck Sunday.
Thank you.
Hey, Ken, you mentioned earlier just the importance of routine and preparation, how much that can help. What was last week like for you? Obviously, everything was so different. Priorities had to be different for you guys. Just what was it like to navigate that?
I mean, it was tough. I mean, it really was. It was an emotional week, and guys, not only players but coaches. I think you go through a lot when you're in a situation like we were in, and it's one of those things where it really helps to be together. It helps to have the family that we do within this locker room and within this building, to kind of lean on, because everybody handles those situations so much differently. And you never know when something in your mind might pop up, that you're not expecting. And it really helps to have a great group of guys in a locker room and on a coaching staff that you can lean on to, either help you out or talk to or whatever it may be. So, I thought that our guys did a great job, not only, handling the week to prepare, but also, being there for each other. And I thought that was really, really great to see, and being there for tomorrow as well.
When you mentioned how it's, a different timeline for everyone and the timeline's changing, was there anything that, either maybe you were able to do or someone was able to do for you that stood out as, something really helpful in a week that was so difficult for everyone?
I mean, I really think just the randomness of people kind of checking in on everybody to make sure that they're doing all right. I mean, it's just kind of going outside the norm of, just going in and checking in, make sure everybody's okay, whether it's something little they notice or anything like that, so, and it could just be, they're fine. It's just, it's just life, so it was just really good to see that, whether it was myself or, somebody else or whatever, I think that was really the thing. Cause a lot of times in this profession, it's like, you just kind of bury everything inside and just go out and do your job. And that's what it is. And I think, the realization sometimes of, hey, it's okay to kind of talk about these things. It's okay to be there for each other. It was really great to see.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And then to quickly jump, I know Naheem's big moments were on special teams, but just with him coming in mid-season, having those, an electric moment to start the game and then the second return, working with him every day, what was it like? He mentioned how he's trying to capitalize every opportunity. And, whether it's special teams, offense, what was it like just to see him have that day?
I mean, it was great to see. Obviously, one for him and then two for our team. But he's done a great job coming in here. He works so hard at it. I mean, he's always studying his stuff. He's always in his book. He's always, just full go, working his tail off whenever he's out on the field. He's locked in on every meeting, every walkthrough that we do, and on top of this stuff. So, it's really been great having him around and great having him on the roster, and just really trying to make sure we're continuing to grow and grow, in his role in all phases.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ken. Jay asked you earlier about, like, for you personally going into the playoffs, how things changed for you. And I know that you said, it's about keeping the same routine, but I'm curious how much, because it's the Dolphins, and we've talked so much about how hard it is to play teams in your own division because of how much you guys know each other. How does that maybe change your routine too, combined with it being a playoff game? Because you guys know each other so well.
Yeah. I don't think it changed the routine. It might change kind of, what you're trying to do in terms of attacking a defense and for a third time, and just kind of go back and look at some of the things that you did and try to correct some of those things with either scheme or play call, in a situational standpoint. So I think it really has more to do with that and just kind of game planning more than kind of routine and schedule and those types of things.
Awesome. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
That's all for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thank you, guys.